True Philippine Ghost Stories, Book 2. First story The Bathroom Ghost by Jonathan Celeste. This story was told to me by my office mate. Marie, not her real name, has a gift a third eye. As a clairvoyant, she has the ability to see ghosts and spirits, experience the paranormal, and communicate with the spirit world. It is both a gift and a curse. But Marie has to live with it because she was born with that ability. Marie's mother has the same gift. In her family, power runs stronger among the females than males. One day, Marie woke up to a blinding headache. She felt like someone was drilling inside her head. Her migraine was acting up again. She decided not to go to work and get some rest instead. Safely ensconced in her bed, she slept the day away, never leaving her room the whole day. In the middle of the night, she woke up to answer the call of nature. Still half asleep, she headed for the bathroom. After finishing up, she padded her way back to her bed, but her attention was caught up by a slight movement on her left. Seated on the sofa of her living room was an old woman wearing a white towel tied at her chest, like she just had shower. The old woman was drying her hair with another towel. Marie stifled her shout of surprise. Creeping closer to the old woman, she peered at the figure seated on her settee. There was something familiar about her, Marie thought. She was taken aback when she realized it was her favorite old aunt, the one who lived in Davao. How did she get in here? Marie wondered. Wow, was I that tired that I didn't hear her come in? What was she doing here all the way from Davao? Marie thought, delighted, yet at the same time bewildered. Her aunt was in her late 60s, and she found it difficult to travel. She was about to call, "Auntie, how are you?" when her aunt turned her head towards Marie. Their eyes crossed, and then something happened that really raised the hair on the back of Marie's neck. Her aunt slowly disintegrated into thin air. She looked like she went up in smoke. "Oh my," was all Marie could say. Was that a premonition or a dream? Feeling a disturbing sense of foreboding that something might have happened to her favorite aunt, Marie ran to her room and immediately dialed her mom's number. "Hello, Ma?" "Yes, Marie?" "You know what?" "I know." Her mom sounded like she knew what Marie was going to say. "I saw Auntie right here in my pad. Something wrong must have happened to her. How is she, by the way? Did you talk to her recently? I don't know what to do." At that, Marie poured the whole story out to her mom, who tried several times to interrupt. When Marie finally finished relating her experience, her mom told her that her aunt passed away hours before their conversation. She had succumbed to complications brought by diabetes. Marie broke down and cried. She hadn't seen her favorite aunt in the past 5 years. Now, they'll never see each other again. Marie put the phone down and cried all night till she fell asleep. Due to her hectic schedule in the office, Marie wasn't able to attend her aunt's funeral, but she offered prayers for her departed loved one. 3 days after the interment, something spooky happened again to Marie. She arrived home from office at around 10 that evening. As she was opening her door, she saw three butterflies coming out of her room. Marie knew that sometimes spirits take the form of butterflies and visit their living relatives. She took this as a significant sign. The three bright brown large butterflies hovered near her head. Suddenly, she felt something cold. She felt the peculiar presence of someone else joining her in her bed. This frightened her, for she had a feeling the three butterflies were her aunt, her uncle, and her dad. Although she was used to spirits making their presence felt to her, she was scared of the idea that her loved ones, someone she knew, would be manifesting themselves to her. She frantically grabbed the doorknob and stumbled into her bed. She wanted to run and hide under the covers of her bed. As the butterflies neared her, smoke began forming out of thin air. Slowly, it began taking the shape of a woman. Bang! She kicked the door shut before the figure could fully materialize and locked it tight. She then jumped straight into bed, skipping dinner and escaping another scary apparition. Second story, The Ghost on the Masalang Street by Jerilyn Cadiz. There is a very thin line that separates the world of the living from that of the spirits. Many believe that in this age of technology, we actually coexist with them. I see them. No, I am not trying to cash in on that current Bruce Willis blockbuster. But just like the boy Cole in the movie, I do not know why I see them or why they appear to me. They just do. And no, I am not mentally challenged. I am a stable person with a pretty logical mind. I was 8 years old when I had my first ghostly experience. I saw my dead aunt cradling my baby brother in bed. I never told this to anybody for fear that no one would believe me. What are the chances of a grown-up actually believing an 8-year-old? Besides, we've always been told that dead people really do appear to their living relatives. Even an older cousin claimed to have seen the spirit of our dead aunt. The problem is, after that incident, I seem to be seeing more of them. Spirits who walk around, passing right in front of me, oblivious of their surroundings, I guess. I never really felt scared about these apparitions since they never really bothered with me. They were only fleeting images, glimpses of people who are there but not real. Like you're walking on the street and all of a sudden, someone crosses your path. There's that initial feeling of confusion, disorientation, and fascination. Then you move on. But never did I imagine I would come face to face with a ghost so horrible, so angry, so disturbing, and so beautiful. It happened a year ago. We had just moved into this house on Dimasalang Street in Baclaran. It was a nice house, new actually. The truth is, I wasn't expecting to see any of my gremlins, as my close friends call these entities I see. Because, like I said, the house was newly constructed. It had only been vacant for months before we moved in. And the house looked pretty normal, with its fresh green paint and light blue grilled gate. It could pass for any house in any given neighborhood. One night, I came home late. It was humid, so I decided to take a bath before retiring to bed. I remember wanting to open the windows, but decided against it the last minute. I was in the middle of reading, all my pretty horses when I finally fell asleep. Until now, I couldn't put my finger on what exactly it was that broke my sleep that night. All I know is that it was so cold, I broke out in goose pimples all over. Before I even opened my eyes, I distinctly felt a presence with me in the room. It took me a while to adjust my eyesight in the dark, but when I did, I saw an outline of a female form standing at the foot of my bed. Instinct told me it wasn't my mother, nor was it human. I remember closing my eyes, a silent prayer playing on my lips. And though fear ruled my whole being that night, I couldn't help being curious. So I opened my eyes again. She was still there, her long, dark hair swaying from the breeze, her beautiful face marred by the expression of pain and controlled hostility in her eyes. I wanted to scream. I'd never felt so weak and helpless in my entire life. Thought escaped to me, and I felt so weak. My limbs felt like they had turned to jelly. I felt as if something was drilling at the base of my skull, and my soul was desperately trying to escape from my body. This must be what naked fear feels like. All this time, the entity simply stood there, watching me with fiery eyes that seemed to consume me. Then suddenly, she vanished. The drilling stopped, and my soul settled once again inside my body. I couldn't go back to bed after that. I buried myself under the bed covers and waited for dawn to come. I told my mother about it the following day, not fully expecting her to believe my story. To my surprise, she answered, "I saw it too." Since then, the ghost appears from time to time, so much so that she has been an added member of our household, like a boarder or something. However, she does not linger long enough to stare at me anymore. She just passes by. Now I've gotten so used to her that I am no longer as frightened as I felt that night, even if I see her passing through the bathroom walls while I'm taking a bath. Whispers by Judy May Geronimo. I used to be Daddy's little girl. I was very close to him. We did everything together. Went to the mall, to church, to kiddie parties. I hardly remember doing things with my mom. Most of my early memories were tied up with my dad. You could say I was spoiled by my dad. He usually gave me what I asked for within reason. "Dad, bili mo nga ako ng rubber shoes?" "Dad, please buy me rubber shoes," I would ask. "Sige anak, pumili ka lang." "Go ahead, choose what you want," he would usually answer. He would also do the same thing for my sister and brother. But my dad and I shared a special bond. All that changed when I was in second year high school. That year, my dad suffered a mild stroke and he became an invalid. In the beginning, we had to hire a guy nurse to help us in taking care of him because my dad was a tall guy. But because of what happened, my mom became the breadwinner in the family, and we all had to tighten our belts. There were 5 of us in the family: my parents, my sister, my baby brother, and I. Pretty soon, money became too tight, and eventually, we had to let go of the services of the nurse. This meant we would have to take up the slack of taking care of my dad, assisting him as he moved about in the house. Trying to make it easier for us, he volunteered to sleep in our living room instead of the bedroom upstairs. He knew that we would have a hard time taking care of him because we were all girls, except for my kid brother, and he was so big. This made life a little easier, but I missed spending time with him. So from then on, I would do my homework in our living room to keep him company, and I would always feel sad at the end of the day whenever I had to leave him downstairs. One day, I gave him a gift. Daddy, oh, sa'yo ito. Binili ko yan para sa'yo. Daddy, this is for you. I bought it for you. It was a rosary that I had bought from school. I told him to put the rosary under his pillow so that he would not get scared and lonely should he awake in the middle of the night. Salamat anak, my dad said, and then we hugged. It took a while for him to recover because we did not have enough money to continue his therapy, so his health slowly deteriorated. All of us took turns in checking up on him throughout the night. One night, it was my turn to check up on him. I went downstairs half awake when I heard whispers coming from our garden. Ano, kunin na natin mamaya yan. So do you think it's time to fetch him later? Said the first voice. Wag muna, bantayan pa natin ng ilang gabi. No, not yet. Let's watch over him for a few more nights, said another voice. Wala tayong madadala niyan. But we have nothing to bring, said the third voice. Mahirap din eh, may bantay. It's difficult because someone stands guard all the time, said the first voice again. I ran to the window, but I couldn't see anybody in the garden. I was so scared. I knew they were talking about my dad, but I didn't know what to do or how to save him from the voices. I hit the switch, flooding our living room with light. I ran to my dad and hugged him tight. No! I shouted at the voices I heard in the garden. Hindi niyo pwedeng kunin ang daddy ko. Hindi niyo siya makukuha sa amin. Mahal na mahal namin siya. No, you cannot take my daddy away from us because we love him so much. My dad was startled awake. O bakit? Ano ba yung pinagsisigaw mo dyan? Pinabangungot ka ba? Hey, what happened? What are you shouting about? Did you have a nightmare? My dad asked. At that, the whispers subsided and eventually faded into the darkness. As my dad lay awake in our sofa, I rushed upstairs to wake up my mom, my sister, and my brother. I told them what I heard. They all grew scared as well. Who could the voices be? Baka demonyo. They could be devils, my brother said in a scared voice. Buti na lang may bantay daw si Daddy. It's a good thing Daddy has someone guarding him, I cried. At first, I thought the bantay the voices talked about was me. But then I realized they meant the rosary I had given my dad. From then on, we all decided to sleep in our living room with my dad. For a long time afterward, I pondered on who these voices were. Then I remembered something my grandmother told me several years ago when I was still a kid. She said that when a person is on his or her deathbed, beings come to fetch his or her soul. Sometimes these are the spirits of dead relatives or family members. But there are also bad spirits who would try to intercept these souls. According to my lola, these manunundo do nothing but wait for dying people to finally expire so they could get their souls and bring it to hell with them. Could they have been these beings?